All right, yes indeed. We live, not Memorex, baby, going live in the place to be. Hello and welcome to another episode or edition of the One on One, brought to you by T My Gogo Media. Um, the whole place that brings you the bump by bump rundown in this wild, wild world of go-go, and continuing with the true stories of the path makers from deep inside the pocket of go-go. You know what I'm saying? Past episodes of the one-on-one can be seen on the social media platforms such as Facebook, of course, YouTube, as well as the tmodgogo.com website, the tmodgogoradio.com website, and also the Cato Hammond website. I am your host, Cato Hammond, musician and author of the book. If you see the book, Take Me Out to the Go-Go. And if you're watching and listening, I want to thank you very much for your support and your continued support. Tonight I have a guest. My guest is legendary musician, goes by the name of Doc Hughes. He's a bass player and frontman that has been playing his footprints within the go-go music scene for the past several decades. I don't mean the past several years. I'm talking about the past several decades. Damn this since day one. But we're gonna get all that information from him today. He been rocking with such bands as Physical Wonder. And when I say front man, he was that man on the front that I remember, that little young skinny tall dude. And with Physical Wonders and other projects, as well as Familiar Faces, and even now he's rocking his own band once again called Faces. You know who? Good grief! It's maybe I don't know what would be with this being 2020. I don't know if this is the 10-year anniversary or 15 year. I know we're somewhere near there, but we're gonna find all that out. Currently the CEO of Faces, Music Group LLC, as well as Canania Entertainment. And so I'm getting ready to bring him on in here so we can talk that talk and walk that walk in the history of go-go. Please welcome my guest, ladies and gentlemen, the big brother, Doc Hughes.
What's
Doc,
good? Good.
What's up with you? Can you hear me good?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. I want first of all appreciate you for coming up in this jump and talking to me and sharing. Basically, this whole platform here is all about sharing each of us sharing our stories within the history of go-go. Because one thing we want to make sure that does not happen, and there's always a possibility of people wanting to rewrite history and all that kind of stuff. So right. Some of the plant makers like yourself that's still around want to make sure that you making sure that information gets known. So the whole point of bringing you on in here basically is to tell your whole story. I don't sit back, I don't interrupt. I'm not going to inject my story in your story. I'm just going to ask you from the jump, from the wound all the way up to you sitting in that seat right now. With you got two bass guitars sitting behind you. What are those behind you?
Fender Jazz, Music Man.
Fender Jazz and the Music Man. Fender Jazz and Music Man.
Acoustics over there.
Say what now?
The acoustic bass over there. Quite a few of them.
Very poetic. Very, very much poetic. So basically, how you been, man? For real.
Been good, man. Been good. Been blessed. Been, still be here doing what I do.
Right.
Slow lately because of what's going on, but still here.
How you making out through that? With what we all know what's going on at the moment.
Well, I currently have a 9 to 5, so I'm still never had the day off. I've always been working. Blessed to still be being able to financially support. So that's a good thing. Music wise, I still play, not as much, we still hit maybe once or twice a month. And I've been turning down a few things because I'm just not sure.
Right. Yeah, you got to be real careful, especially some stuff I've been hearing, as of recent,
Exactly.
So want to definitely be careful because we care about each other. That's the whole point of sharing your art. So with that being the case, before going back into the history, I'm just curious. With that being the case, and I saw a comment, a topic being brought online today, basically about artists and musicians going through a depression period. Have you felt that, or you've been able to? I know you've been playing. You say you've been playing once a month, but have you been able to keep your creative aspect going? I know you're working in 9 to 5, but you look like you live in a studio. So
Well, I mean, I keep it all around me, but it's yes and no to that. You know what I mean by that is there are times that I come in here and just create something, and then there are days where I just come in here and look and turn around and just go watch TV.
right.
Because it's like you just caught up in so much of what's going on, man. It's a fear of not knowing,
Hmm.
but I still rehearse. I usually rehearse once a week, but right now I kind of chopped it down to once every other week. To give everybody some breathing room. Like when we do play a show, if I play on a Friday, I don't want to see my band members till 10 days later,
Okay.
just in case. So I
Right.
give everybody that chance to get themselves situated, make sure ain't nothing going on. Then we get back together and link back up.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the big brother Doc here. It's always funny when you and I send each other messages, or whenever I want to say things, I make it a habit not to say what's up to you.
I
I'm serious. I make
get
it
it. I get it.
because
Yeah,
I don't want to sound like Bugs Bunny
I
and
get
saying
it.
what's up, Doc. You know what I'm saying? You probably
Right.
get that joke all the time. So
Right.
basically, starting off, what is your name and where are you from?
Real name Kenneth Hughes.
Okay.
Most people call me Doc. Reason why they call me Doc because I used to be a basketball junkie.
Okay.
I grew up with around NBA players because my uncle did play in the NBA. So I did get to meet Dr. J and hung out with Dr. J and Bernard King and all of them older cats back in the day when I was a little younger. So I was just basketball. That was my thing. Basketball and music.
All right. So I gotta ask. Your uncle, you say your uncle you play. Who's your uncle?
Wilson Washington. He played. He came out of ODU, and he ended up playing for 76ers and the New Jersey Nets.
Okay. All right.
So I met quite a few of them.
Go ahead. Say it again.
I met quite a few of them. I hung out with quite a few Washington Bullets and New Jersey Nets and
West on
Philadelphia.
Phil Chenier and all the crew.
Huh?
People like West on Phil Chenier.
Oh, yeah.
And all
Yeah.
yeah, Dave Bing.
Oh yeah.
And Elvin Hayes.
Elvin, the Big E, or Elvin.
Yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
man.
Okay,
Yeah.
thinking that we back in childhood, thinking back in early childhood, what was your first experience with music like for the very first time? Do you remember that?
Okay. Grandmother was a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Mother was an evangelist. Aunt was an evangelist. Grandfather was a bishop. I played in church. I started playing in church at 5 years old on drums.
Really? Okay. Okay.
So I stayed on drums, and then I kind of picked up the lead guitar about 2 years later, about 7, 8 years old, and my brother played bass.
Mm-hmm.
So I always liked the bottom, so I started playing bass.
Okay.
And about 9 years old is when I really got into the bass, and I've been playing bass ever since.
So your brother was your influence, or you had other influences?
Oh, I had plenty other ones because my aunt was and still is one of the meanest keyboardists that I've ever known, because she could play that Hammond, man, make that thing scream. So it was like our church was kind of family oriented. And, she do one thing, I'm playing the drums, my brother playing the bass, and then next day I'm playing the guitar, and next thing in there, now I'm playing the bass. And then I just picked that, when I picked the bass up that first time, it was a little hard for me because it was heavy and it was long.
Okay.
And then I said, I'm going to try this again. And I jumped back into it, and that was it. And I never stopped playing it since then.
You were how old?
Oh, God. Probably when I first picked up the bass, I was about 6 years old. When I first fell in love with it, I was probably about 9 years old.
Okay. Okay. All right. So but okay, now you were doing that in the church.
Right.
Um, did you realize then that you wanted to pursue the whole your whole career in music? Was
Okay.
that something you knew automatically back then, or
That
was
was
it
something that
to leave your environment?
that was something I was into because coming up, uh, I used to always watch the midnight special.
With
Always used to watch Friday night. Used to be a show come on here in DC at the Room, live at the Room.
hmm
I don't know, on channel 20. And you'd always see the artists come on and things like that. And then it was Don Kirshner's rock concert. So that's all I knew. So that's
Okay.
all I wanted to do was just jump on that stage and play and do something. I just wanted to be involved in music some way, somehow.
So I'm going to assume around this time, this is that we're talking now is pre Gogo, before Gogo probably even
Oh, yeah.
exists.
Yeah. I ain't even know
You
what
know.
Logo won't even know what to be in existence. We talking 71, 72.
Okay.
When I really got into it, probably was 72. I had heard a bass line, and I want to say it was either 72 or 73. And
Mhm.
the bass line went ba-doo-doom boom, ba-doo-ba-doo boom boom. You know
Haha.
it was. And I said, I gotta try to play that. And once I started learning that, I picked up, I got a bass and played my brother bass, and he's always, hey, put my bass down, put my bass down. Nah, let me just play something. And I learned to play that song. Figured out who the artist was. I said, okay, Curtis Mayfield, got it. Too young to sneak into the movies to go see Superfly, but I did it. Got it done. Found out the whole soundtrack, and I started listening to this guy played all the records on this movie. Okay, I like that. And ever since then, it was like I didn't turn around from it. And this was, like I said, 72, 73.
hmm
And I started looking at all the big bands, and I became an Ohio Players junkie, Earth, Wind and Fire junkie. Casey and the Sunshine Band used to blow me away because of the way horns used to just dance and put on a show. And I was like, it's more than just playing. You can't just stand there. You got to do something because people don't just want to hear; they want to see something.
hmm
And when I seen Casey and the Sunshine Band, I said, you know what? I'm looking at it. 11-piece group, four horn players, a white guy on a keyboard, and ain't nobody standing still.
Right.
You don't stand still on that stage. If you do,
Right.
something's wrong with you. And that's how I grew up. You don't stand still. You better move. That's how I learned.
You peeped that out back then.
Yeah,
Okay.
you got to sell that craft, man, because people think, one of the biggest fears I think for musicians is when they don't see people dancing, they panic.
hmm
And I've always learned just because they ain't dancing don't mean they ain't enjoying it. So you put
Right.
on the same show, whether they dance or rather they sit down and just watch you, and you hear the applause at the end. That means they were paying you attention. So don't focus on if they're dancing. Make sure you do your show 1 on 1,000.
Yeah. I
One on
mean, you
one.
made me think. You made me think of a interview years ago. I watched Frankie Beverly say that. I guess this was back then, but it always amazed him how majority of the time, especially the guys, didn't dance. They just stared. You know what I'm saying? It took him a minute to realize why they were staring because they were,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying? Okay, that's really interesting. All right, so we're talking about the groups you've seen on TV, you know, the
Mhm.
Casey and the Sunshine Band, the Midnight Specials, Earth, Wind and Fire, and all that. Was there music really growing locally during that time that you noticed besides in the church?
No, everybody was doing it. There was a few bands that were around the city that we would go see, and a few friends of mine that had their own little garage bands, but everybody was just playing what they heard on the radio.
Hmm.
Cover tunes, what they heard on the radio,
Right.
and that was it. There was no thing that looked like a genre was growing until I found out that the group that sung "We the People" was from here.
Yeah.
Because see, what most people don't know is I was born in Norfolk, Virginia,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
came here when I was 4 years old and been here ever since. So that's why I say DC is my home because it's all I know.
Right.
4 years
Right.
old, I ain't no damn thing, but I was 4. So I come here and, I've heard of the Soul Searchers. I've heard of, some of them groups. And then as I was getting older, my uncles and my older brother would take me places that I didn't belong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was it? The Mark 3, Mark 4, something like that. One of
Okay.
them clubs. And I remember the first time I went there, I heard a group called Joe Quarterman and Free Soul.
Okay. Yeah.
And when I heard of them, uh, I didn't pay no mind then. They were good. They were great to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing I know, we were down Anacostia Park one Sunday looking at the Soul Searchers. I had never heard the name Chuck Brown at the time. It was just the Soul Searchers.
Right.
And next thing I knew, it became Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers. But at that time, it still was R&B funk. It wasn't go-go. It was
Right.
R&B funk. And all the bands that was playing at Anacostia Park, we would sneak down, and not sneak down, but pretty much go down on the Sundays or Saturdays. It was always some funk bands down there playing.
Right.
And I do remember Experience Unlimited before they even played anything called go-go.
Right.
With the wild rock sound, and I used to say, "Oh, they play like white boys."
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay.
They was very rockish,
Right.
and you see the days go by, and next thing I know, you're hearing a percussion driven groove constantly coming back and forth, back and forth. Now you're saying, okay, things are starting to change. A lot of bands are starting to come out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden you hear this one band, which was Chuck, come up with this, this pocket sound and doing a thing. But the funny part about that is he wasn't the first one I heard do that.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
the first person I heard do that with that slow paced pocket actually was Curtis Mayfield. When they did the live version of
Ready, did. Ready.
and I was like, okay, so is that where they got that from? You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, and I said, well, what is that he doing on the guitar? When he was chucking. But I said,
Right.
well, that's what I saw Curtis Mayfield do back in the 70s, early 70s before,
Right.
and okay. Didn't think nothing of it. Next thing I knew, all you heard was the top band in the city. It was Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers. That's it. Anybody was coming underneath them. And then you heard of the EUs. And I'm like, okay, what is this? Next thing you know, they say it was go-go. And I used to say it would sound like jungle music.
Okay.
That's what sound like.
Were they calling it go-go then?
No. I don't think I heard that term go-go till around 78, 79, maybe.
Okay.
And I still affiliated it with the go-go in the go-go clubs, the girls with the go-go boots. I didn't affiliate that was a sound that they were trying to give a name to.
Right.
They're saying they're going to, they're going to the go-go. Okay, I'm thinking they're going to the strip club. The go-go, you know what I'm saying? Because the go-go girls, that's what you thought. Didn't know that they had already started putting a tag on the music.
Okay.
And, so when they put the tag on the music, okay, it's go-go. Got it. Get it. Cool.
What made you decide to go into it, or was that just a natural? It just floated that way, or you made a conscious decision? Because one thing I can say, I can remember during that period that people were making constant. I don't know if I'm making the word I'm trying to say is they're making conscious decision to go that route because a lot of people decided not to go that route.
Well,
A lot of bands, rather, yeah.
I think with me, again, here we go with my brothers and my cousins. They older than me. We went up. Let me think. I want to say it was Club LeBaron to see Chuck Brown. Got me. Of course, I was too young to be in there. You know it.
Yeah.
I realized with my brother and them and my cousins and them, it was who you knew.
Yeah.
They knew some folks. So I would get in there and we watched Chuck a little bit. And at the time, I ain't really, it was jungle music to me. I wasn't feeling it like that.
Okay.
You want to know when I started feeling that groove?
When?
when I ended up going there one day and I saw this dude with the fiberglass see-through bass. So instantly I was like, oh, I'm in all awe at this time.
Uh,
And they played a little bit more up tempo, and I couldn't put my hand on it, but it was something about them that I liked better than what I heard from Chuck Brown,
mhm.
which was it was EU.
Okay.
So after doing a break, I walked up and Bear was in the lobby, and I went and talked to him, and he looked at me and said, "What you doing here, you young boy?" Angle and my brother and them, we talked. I said, "Well, I got a band one day, and I'm gonna need your help to help me out one day." And he said, "All right, look me up one day when you get up there." I said, "All right." Left it at that.
Uh,
He went on and played, and Butch at the time was playing, and they
which
was
was
yeah, man, they was getting their thing in, and Smokey was playing the congos, and they was doing the EU freeze and all of that, and that made me go back and look at Chuck Brown and realize that that's where they got it from.
okay.
They
Okay.
got it from dude, which was Chuck Brown, and I heard the difference. I heard the maturity in what Chuck was doing, and
Mhm.
the kind of wow, but they trying what EU was doing. And I could decipher the two quick. I said, okay, this band A over here with the dude singing with the gold too, which was Chuck, and that's band B. And not knowing that uh, at the end of the day, through all of it, it would be band C, and I called it band C at the time, would be the one that would win me over,
Mhm.
which was the Young Dynamos turned into Rare Essence, which won me over hands down all the way across the fence. That was it. It's a wrap. Everybody else second fiddle to me.
Okay. Hold that thought. Hold that thought, because I want to get right back to that point that won you over. When you went to talk to this bass player from EU, Sugar Bear, we know it's Sugar Bear. Did you realize? Did you know at the time that this was the same EU you had seen earlier out Anacostia Park playing the rock?
Yes,
You knew it was the same band.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
I know
All
it was
right.
the same band because even though they had a few different members,
Mhm.
the bass player didn't change. And I'm gonna tell you why I noticed it. Because at the time I used to see him a lot, and he would have the otter bass guitars. He wouldn't have the Fender Jazzes and that we all love. He would have some weird the BC Riches and the Rickenbackers, things. So
Yeah.
that's how I realized who he was because he always had a distinctive bass.
Okay.
And I knew, I said, okay, that's that same dude back then, but now they sound different. They playing a little bit more that stuff that Chuck Brown is playing. And at that time, that's what I called it, that stuff, because I didn't know what the name really was, because think about it. Back in the 70s, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Ohio Players, Casey and the Sunshine Band, all of them had congos.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
of them had big bands with congas in them. So
And horn sections.
oh
The
yeah,
thing.
so it wasn't nothing new to me to see congas in a band because when people say, oh well, they got congos, so that's go-go. Band's been playing congos in the 60s,
Yeah.
but not like we do here now. But that was something that grew on me when I looked at it, and I think what made me really like it,
Mhm.
I think, and I say I started following EU. Trouble was in the Wings.
Mhm.
It was, in fact, they were like the last ones I looked at.
Okay.
I looked at Rare Essence,
Mhm.
and it was just something about Rare Essence that stood out. And you're gonna probably be surprised at what stood out the most to me. What
What?
stood out the most to me was I I've heard Chuck Brown do his thing. I've heard Rare Essence do his thing.
Mhm.
It was something about the way that James Funk talked to people that rolled me right in. It
Okay.
wasn't the fact that Funky Ned was, at the time in my mind, one of the baddest dudes in the game. It wasn't the fact that Foots was like a time clock. The Jungle Boogie was doing his thing. It was the fact that this one dude that's on the mic is just, reeling people in, and he just talking about normal day-to-day stuff. He ain't doing no rhymes. He ain't trying to sing. He just talking to people, talking about what they got on, how they looking, how they feeling, and that just grew on me, man. It just reeled me in, and I say, this is crazy, because I heard Chuck do that, but for some reason it didn't sound the same when this dude did it. I said, there's something about when this dude doing it that make people go crazy. I'm like, this dude can't know all these people, but he did. I say, there's no way this dude can know about 900 people in this club. There is no way he's called it, and he never called the same name twice. It seemed like he just knew, and you would look around and you would see people respond. And I said, this dude's something else. This band is something else. And at that time, I wasn't even focused on Benny because I was watching what Funk was doing. And then there's a day when Funk don't show up and hit this little dude with the trumpet. And I'm like, time out. This band, we're around it. Ain't nobody better. That's the way I felt. I said, I love EU to death. That's my heart. But ain't nobody better than these cats. These cats, we're around it, all the way around the fence.
Okay.
And that's how, and it grew on me, and that's what sucked me into go-go.
Okay. Now you mentioned another thing you mentioned when you talked to Sugar Bear, did you mention to him that you had a band? So you had already started a band by that time?
Bro, I had a band in 1980 called Royal Elegance.
Royal Elements. Where were they from?
Elegance.
You were at the time you were living in Southeast? Where were you living?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was Minnesota Southeast. And then we moved over to Maryland, but my grandma still stayed in Southeast, so I would always go back and forth. And we ain't really play nowhere but like little block parties and things like that. So it was just something to do. Playing because we love to play. And at that time, my brother was playing bass. I was just rapping on the mic.
Okay.
Then my brother decides.
Okay. So you started rapping. Okay.
My brother decides, I'm going to play keyboards. Here, you take the bass. I'm going to play the keyboard. Okay. And that's how that happened. Crazy, but that's how it happened. So with all of that, I think I learned the most in my early years watching the bigger bands in the 70s and watching how Chuck and RE and EU and Trouble Funk carried it when they performed in opposed to everybody else I saw. And
what was besides the Go-Go Pocket, what would you say? Was there any other difference that you noticed? Because I know the difference, but I want to hear.
Okay, well, when it came to Chuck Brown, I think I looked at mature musicians, grown men, mature musicians, that were very tight, was serious about that craft, no nonsense. And I saw EU, which was more like, we're freelance musicians. Play what you want to play, long as you feel it, play it. Enjoy what you play. We're gonna make it work. Which I am that type of musician where I don't believe there's such thing as a bad note. If you know how to play your instrument, you can turn that bad note into a passing note and make it a good note. If you know what you're doing.
Okay.
Trouble Funk, I looked at him like a band that was trying to get away from here and get on the national circuit with the way they did things. They were putting out more records than anybody at one point.
Okay.
But when it came to Rare Essence, I saw a complete package that just could not be touched in my mind. And this is just me thinking. This is my opinion. I said they were well-rounded. They came dressed. They came ready to perform. They would wear outfits. They would dance. There was never a dull moment. You never could predict their show. Some of the other ones, I could predict them all day long.
Okay, your band and your band, what was it, Royal Elements? You said the
Royal Elegance.
Okay. Walk me from there till you had that band, but like I said, you didn't create that band. That was just a band you were in. Walk me from there to the next step. You went from them to what?
My brother created that.
Mm-hmm.
My brother created that band, and once we started doing that, and we had moved out into Maryland, he met some other cats from Maryland, and I'm see if I can remember the name. I remember Lil John, he was a drummer. Young boy Charles, he was a rototom player, and a friend of mine, Donnie. Donnie played bass as well, but he played sax. And they
Mm-hmm.
joined the band, and we may have did a few shows, but it was the one show that we did where we had a paid gig up in this club up northwest, way up by the Petworth neighborhood. Now, mind you, this was 1979 going into 80 because it was around New Year's.
Okay.
This is how long I used to tell people Petworth has been around. I met them in 1980, some of the cats, and we were in the back of a U-Haul truck going to this club called Club Devilier to play this show. Now,
Okay.
here I'm too young to go in the club, but like I said, it's who you know.
Mm-hmm.
We pulled up to this guy, one of the promoters' house, because he had to pick something up, I guess some alcohol or something. And these young dudes came running to the back of the band. And they said, "Oh, y'all band? Yeah. Y'all need any help with anything?" I said, "Nah." They said, "We're a band too." I said, "Okay, what y'all call yourself?" They said, "Petworth." Remember the name.
That work. Okay.
Petworth, remember the name. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, "What's your name, you dude?" I want to say he said it was Lil Mike. I could be
Lil
wrong.
Mike.
Okay. Because Lil dude. And I said, "Okay, Petworth." I ain't gonna forget the name. That
Mm-hmm.
was 1980. So I tell people Petworth been around a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so we went into this club where there are a bunch of grown folks dancing, they serving liquor, drinking and smoking. And here I am, 15, 14. I don't know how old I was at the time. No, I wasn't supposed to be in there.
Okay.
1 o'clock in the morning. I'm rapping to these people while we playing.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the night, my brother and them took me home. They came back, got the money, split the money, told me we ain't get paid because him and my cousin went out and had a field day. They had a fun with their girlfriends. Okay, cool. I wasn't tripping off money anyway. I wasn't mad. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that at the time was my first time doing a show to where I said, "It's some money in this."
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
But that still wasn't my main drive of it. It was just the fact of playing in front of people, being on the stage, and just enjoying my instrument. And that's what it was for me, man. It wasn't even about how much I'm gonna get, blah blah. I didn't even care about that.
Right.
Plug my guitar, let me go. Man, of course I had a lot to learn. I was
When we
that
were kids, we all thought that way.
yeah, that hard head musician. I ain't know what it was like to play with the band. It was let me stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a Bootsy Wah Wah pedal. Let me try some crazy stuff. I did anything I could to just play.
Right.
And then once that dissolved, because we got older and older, uh, I just kept playing. And I would go back and forth playing in church still. Uh, I think where it came to a cross for me is I went back to, now this one gonna catch you. I
Mm-hmm.
went back to at the time, I believe it was the Paragon 2. Again,
Okay.
who do I see? EU. All right, no problem. Of course, again, during the break, I see all the guys from Trouble Funk there. So that's when I met Dyke and Tony Fisher, and me and Dyke started talking,
Mm-hmm.
They had just did a show on, I want to say, the Moon Man show. And I'm going to tell you how I knew it was them because they had on the same clothes. I said,
Okay.
"Oh, that dude had, they had the jerry curl and the white shoes and the brown suit." I said, "Hey, I remember I saw you on TV earlier." Yeah, we got to talking. Me and Dyke got to talking. And me and Dyke became real good friends, real good friends.
Okay.
And talked to Sugar Bear a little bit. And I left and went home.
Mm-hmm.
And then my cousin Gomez, at the time, he told me he worked for this band. I said, "What band you work for?" He said, I'm a roadie for this band called Hot Cold Sweat. I said, "Okay, whatever." I ain't paying no money. That was like 87, maybe. All right, whatever, 86, something. Maybe not even 87. I want to say it was like 83, 84, actually.
Okay. Okay.
And
The Meet Me at the Go-Go High
Yeah,
Coast.
that
Okay,
high school.
okay, yeah, that's
Lou was in the band, and all none of the guys you know now
right, right.
that or came up in. It was the older original High Cold Sweat guys. Where it was like 13 of
Okay,
them.
okay.
And I met Charlie Fenway.
Because Charlie was playing at the time, right?
Yeah, he was still playing at the time.
Yeah.
And I met his wife Lou and Darius and all of them cats, and they had a drummer named Slim. I met all of them and come to find out that they were kind of affiliated with Trouble Funk
Okay.
because they was all working with Rio. So, okay, cool, no problem. Got that going, listening to them. And my cousin said, well, I got a show with Sweat tonight. I got to set up. Can you pick me up? I said, well, pick you up from where? He said, well, I work on this ice cream truck. I said, all right, where do you want to pick you up from? He said, meet me in Oxon Hill. All right, I want to pick him up in Oxon Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I pull up behind the ice cream truck that he works on. And he said, oh, by the way, let me introduce you to some other friends of mine. I said, who? I get off and go up on the ice cream truck, and guess who's on the ice cream truck working?
Who?
Ula Tony and Go-Go Mike.
Trombone Mike.
Trombone Mike.
Okay, Mike Taylor.
Ula Tony and Michael Taylor tells me, you ought to come, with Gomez to the gig tonight. Could they play with us? I said, who was us? He said, we play with EU. I said, oh, really? I go with them to see EU. I go with them to the show. They get me in free, whatever. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, who I see, the same guy again. Sugar Bear. Here we go again. And this time we had a conversation, and this is what threw me way off. He said, I remember you when I walked up, when you talked to me back at Club LeBaron.
Okay.
I said, you remember me? He said, you was a little boy. He said, I remember you. He said, yeah. I said, I like that bass you got. I said, it's pretty. It was a real pretty Fender. I said, yo, let me take that home. He said, when I finish, you can. I thought he was playing.
Are you serious? Okay.
I thought he was playing. He said, you cool? You Mike, y'all cool? We said, yeah. He said, take it home. Bring it back to me. Bring it to me Tuesday at rehearsal. So I took it to church the next day, played it, whatever, shined it up, tuned it up, bought it. You best to bet. If their rehearsal was at 8 o'clock, I was at that door at 7:15 with that bass.
Right on.
After that point, I would have to say the best friend I got in the go-go is Sugar Bear. Mm-hmm. Michael Taylor or Ula Tony. Those are that's where I come from. And I always say that's my bone, because they kind of got me in the big boy gate of it.
Okay.
Playing in the bands and all that, but they kind of got me in the big side of it. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I started going to the shows that, they playing here, they playing there, the DC Armory and the back to school boogie at the DC Armory. It comes right back to here come James Funk again, because he wasn't even on the stage with the band. The band is dressed in, Reyes is dressed in white tuxedos from head to toe.
I remember that show.
And here he come almost towards the end, with a red shirt on and some brown pants, and he says, "Excuse me, but can I butt in?"
I butt in, yeah. That's the greatest go-go on earth. Yeah.
Boy, when I saw the people run out the rafters, hollering, "Wind me up, Funk," I said, that dude ain't to be messed with. Yeah. That's the one. And I always say to this day, I said, I love Chuck. Me and Chuck was cool. I love Chuck to death. But when you want to tell me in my experience who took this go-go to the top of the brain core of the world, I'm going to always say R.E., because I always say everybody wanted to be like Jungle Boogie. Everybody wanted to be like White Boy. Everybody wanted to be like Foots. Everybody wanted to play like Funky Ned, and everybody wanted to rap like Benny or Funk.
Basically, everybody wanted to play with Ray Asses.
That was it.
Everybody wanted to play with Ray.
If you played with them, you were stamped in the city. And I always say, I don't care who played when Jungle Boogie went down. If Funk called your name 50 times a night, you was going to be a star. I don't care if you was good or bad. Hell, if Mo Gentry would have kept playing, he'd have been the king right now.
That's true.
And that's just the truth. It is the fact that, don't disrespect to the people that played with them, but that was a brand that if you come from that brand, you already had stature in the game, man, regardless of what you did. You know, I mean, you can look back and I think that's one of the few bands that everybody can say, I know every member that played for them for the most part. People
Yeah.
can still go back and say, oh yeah, this one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. And you be like, wow, you weren't even living when these guys played, but you heard of these legends.
Right.
You know, so that was the one for me, you know, that kind of did it, you know. Even though, like I said, me and Sugar Bear, that's like, man, that's my blood, man. We go back, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and we talk almost every other day. We just laugh at things that are coming up. Michael Taylor, I always tell him, bro, if you wouldn't have brought me, if I wouldn't have got on an ice cream truck and met you cats, I don't know how far I would have got in this game had I not met you guys. I
Right.
say, because you and Ula Tony kind of reinvented me for coming back to something I had said, it was all right. It was okay. And then you brought me into somebody that was up here in the game. And he said, yeah, you can go and take my bass. I don't care. You don't even know me, dude. You the same dude I met at a joint, right? And I met you again at Paragon too, right? Yeah, yeah, I'm good. You good. Just bring it back to me.
Right.
Okay. And we've been friends ever since.
Well, okay. All right. Okay. Now, I want to get into. You got all this going on. You got all this going on. I want to hear the story of how it came about. The whole Physical Wonder thing.
Okay. Now, Physical Wonder was a band before I got there.
Oh, they were.
Yeah,
Okay.
because at that time, I had stopped working with EU and I met a gentleman that, and I'm going to say, this gentleman kind of helped me learn the business of go-go before I started learning a lot on my own. This was before I had personally met Miss Mac and Miss Sis and all of them. This gentleman, I would have to say, is responsible for me learning, be professional as you can be. And that was Daryl Spencer of Air Raid.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
Daryl used to work at Giant. I used to live around the corner from Giant. One
Okay.
day I went in there and he said, don't you work with EU? I said, yeah. He said, look here, I got a spot on my crew. I'm looking for somebody. If you get tired of working with EU, come holler at me. And I said, well, I don't know what made me do it. I just said, all right. And I went and started working on the crew with Air Raid for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that this particular band from out of Maryland was kind of very close to that Ray Essence style of doing things. And I said, these cats ain't playing. They got their own 500-600 following members, follow them faithfully everywhere they go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they got their own, and they keep, oh man, they kept the equipment up so well that they didn't play that. If it's broke, you don't bring it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so Daryl and Doc was very, very edgy about not having no, man, that got a chip in it. Paint that. You know what I mean?
So they had their own sound.
Oh yes. Oh, and at that time, they were one of a few with the double 18s, while everybody else was pushing double 15s
Okay.
in schools.
Okay.
So that's why if you listen to a lot of old Air Raid CDs or tapes at the time, you hear a difference in that bass kick than most bands. Because they had them double 18s that were just, man, them jokers were something else.
Mm-hmm.
And they were not just a band, but that was the only band I ever really been around that I can really say was a family.
Mm-hmm.
Because Doc's mom treated everybody like her son. I mean, everybody. You do something wrong, you got to answer to her. Come here. I need to talk to you. What you do? Doc's mom's was,
Really?
yes,
Okay.
she was something else, man. Beautiful, beautiful spirited person, man. She, showed love to everybody and
Mm-hmm.
treated everybody the same. Sometimes she would even treat some of them as if you would think that was their mom other than Daryl and Doc.
Right.
She was like that. And they were very strict on the business of part of it. Get this right, be there on time, don't be late. And okay, you're on the crew, but I need you to play the bass tonight. Okay, no problem. You
Right.
know, and it was those situations. So they gave me opportunities as well because, even though I played and worked, I have to work on no band's crew. I wanted to learn what they were doing, what was really going on.
Okay. Okay. You took a question out of my mouth because the fact that you're a musician, but you're really, I guess, patient working as a crew.
Right, right. I needed to learn. So I need, okay, let me learn how to set up a
You
PA.
knew that's what you need to do. Okay.
Yeah, I need to learn how to set up a PA system. I need to learn how to run sound. I need to learn how to mix. I need to learn to do all of that. So the only way I'm gonna get that experience is go out there and get with somebody and do that. Because everybody just ain't gonna say come and play.
Right.
Some of these bands were friends for years. They ain't gonna just give you the spot. So what they're gonna do is say, hey, come on in here and do this. So it got to a point where I would say Rare Essence, I'm sorry, Air Raid, we had one of the tightest crews in the game because we could have that whole system and stage set up in 1 hour coming through the door. We had 5 people and everybody had a designated job. Mine was wiring up the sound. The other guys was setting the stack up. The other guy was setting up the back line. And man, people used to be like, are y'all actually set up by now? Y'all finished? Yeah, we finished.
I remember them days. Good gracious.
First one there, last one to leave.
Yeah. All right. So you're doing the air raid thing, but something is brewing with the physical wonder.
That's how Mo Ziegler started working with Air Raid. And we would go down to
okay.
He was starting to co-manage Air Raid or something of that nature. And he had his own little band, Physical Wonder, which was like New Edition.
Right.
With musicians behind him. And he said, I need a bass player. And I heard you play bass. Come on down, Cherries, whatever. So I go down Cherries and I'm down there. Michael Music.
Right quick. Before you go further, let folks know who Mo Ziegler was.
Mo Ziegler was the owner of Atlantic Skating Ring that then became Cherries. That's who Mo Ziegler was.
Right.
And so when I went to Cherries for the rehearsal, audition, I was down there. Michael Muse was down there.
Mm-hmm.
A few other people. And I'm like, Mike said, well, they calling me to sing. And I'm like, okay. And I see these 5 little boys come out like New Edition. Okay. All right, I guess Wayne Nichols. I don't know if you remember Wayne Nichols or not.
Maybe by face. Maybe.
He played on with Riz and the Boys, Moving the Groove. He was a drummer with the thick glasses.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Wayne was at the time the drummer for Physical Wonder.
Physical Wonder, okay.
Which is project, actually, him and Mo. Okay. And Wayne then left Physical Wonder and went to Riz and the Boys.
Right.
Which then brought Bigfoot in as a drummer. Kevin Bigfoot came in as a drummer. Kevin Smith.
Right.
And so I started playing bass for him. And, we got 5 little boys up front. And they did okay. One of the little boys that was up front with him, believe it or not, was Mighty Mo.
Mike Conner playing Mighty Mo? Okay.
He was one of the little 5 New Edition looking boys.
They were singing though. They were like,
yes. His mama pulled him out.
Okay.
Pulled him out. And it got to the point where the act got stale because the little boys were okay. They weren't the best singers in the world, but they would mimic New Edition. And it got to the point where I guess the parents were getting frustrated with my kids out here, with the money, blah, blah, blah. I ain't had nothing to do with that. That was between Mo and them. And one day Mo said, look here, I'm letting go of them little boys and I want to keep the band going. What you gonna do? I said,
so wait right quick. So when they had the little singers up front, they were doing go-go, or they was just an R&B band playing it go-go?
They were doing actual New Edition. Candy Girl, straight New Edition stuff.
Okay.
We were the band playing the music. Every now and then we would slip a go-go beat in there underneath them. Okay. But they were just straight Candy Girl New Edition.
Fellas, there's a jealous girl in our
town. We played that video. Yeah. We played that at times. And that's how that happened. And then eventually something went sour. He decided to disband the little boys and said, well, I'm going to keep the band together. And he was like, I want you to stay. What you gonna do? I said, well, we're gonna keep playing. He said, oh, we right back playing Friday. And I'm sitting there like, we got no material, we got no songs, we got nothing but the Candy Girl stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
he said, okay, just go play. We get up there with a new keyboard player, Rick Fro, and Kevin said, man, let's just go. We ain't had no rapper, we ain't had no nothing. We just started playing the grooves that we played, and we started making stuff up on stage as we went. And then, of course, the first couple of weeks, you can imagine what it sounded like.
Mm-hmm. So
Man,
y'all were playing every so because I one thing I remember the little that I remember Physical Wonder Cherries was like y'all home.
that was our home base.
Right. I mean, we
Played
knew
there, rehearsed there.
whoever played there, we knew we were gonna see Physical Wonder there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And we just started going. And slowly, we started building. It got to a point where people would wait till we finish before they start dancing. And
Right.
then by a few months later, you start see people dance to what you're doing. You're saying, okay, it's starting to come over a little bit. Next thing you know, you're starting to see everybody show up early and dancing to what you're doing. Next thing you know, you ain't the opening act no more. Somebody's
How
opening.
did that feel before? How did that feel to be up there and nobody dancing? Did it make you want to quit?
No,
Okay.
because like I told you, I always came up knowing that just because they don't dance don't mean they're not paying
Well,
attention.
you knew that.
I
What
knew
about the other
that.
members?
Now, everybody in the band didn't feel that way. There were some guys that did quit because they said, man, this ain't going nowhere. This ain't doing nothing. And,
Right.
so that's why so many people, I was replacing people left and right. Every 2 weeks, there was somebody new because there were guys that was quitting because they didn't get, they couldn't, they wanted instant success and they didn't want to really work for it.
Okay.
So it got to a point where Kevin, like I said, drummer, Kevin Smith was the only one, him, myself, Rick Fro, a young man named Rodney, were pretty much the core
Okay.
of the group, and I had to go out and find some people, you know what I'm saying? And Kevin hung in there. He was like, I'm this home. We're going to do it. And as long as I knew I had him as a backbone, I wasn't worried. And he stood there and he was faithful and very sharp with it. He kept good equipment. He was very professional with his whole, persona, man. He was just good all the way around the fence. And I decided to look around for some people. So one day, Trouble Funk wanted to rent our sound system, and we had our own PA.
Yeah,
So I met them down Southeast Gardens, let them use my PA. And this funny looking cat come walking up to me, say, man, I know you. Don't you play with Physical Wonder? Yeah. You having auditions? I rap. I said, oh, you're a rapper? I said, okay, meet me down there, such and such, guy. Because I didn't want to rap. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to play.
Did? Really?
I just wanted to play.
Okay.
So I bring this dude in thinking he could rap. But guess what he could do?
What?
That boy could dance.
He could dance. Okay. Okay.
That boy could dance. I said, what's your name, son? And he say, Ray.
Right.
Lil Ray. Lil Ray Day. Lil Ray, okay, I can use you. This is what I'm going to do. Since you really ain't that great at rapping, but I'm going to let you do it anyway, I'm going to put a gimmick with you. You going to dance.
Okay.
Ray would do a different dance every week. He got something different. It got to a point where I had him doing ballet dances on stage. People laughed at him just like you doing at that time.
Right. Well, I knew him back then, so
yeah.
That's why I'm laughing.
About 6 months later, they was lined up front waiting to see him dance.
See? Yeah.
Product. So every now and then when they would miss a cue, I would say something because I'm like, okay, I got to find a rapper. And I tried 4 or 5 different guys, DJ Mans, Reggie. I've tried so many different, and I could not get the person to do it from my vision of what I was looking for. Right. And then Kevin was like, man, just go ahead and do it yourself. I say, nah, man, just until we get somebody, go ahead. So I just went on and did it myself.
Because Because I'm gonna say, I mean, from what I can remember, and even still go today, you had a style that was really distinct, and then I mean, really, and then this is before White Boy was rapping. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of had a style, and probably other than Sugar Bear, who I can remember, the only other bass player who was lead rapping. Who?
Big
What else?
Tony.
Huh?
Big Tony.
I mean, oh yeah, Big Tony, of course, Big
We
Tony.
were the only three.
Right.
We were the only
Yeah.
three.
To this day, probably the only three. Is
Probably.
that
I don't know many. I don't know many.
okay? But you, and when I mean by this is before White Boy, because White Boy had a laid back kind of style, especially when he first started, when he first had to
Right.
begin rapping,
Right.
and you kind of had a laid back kind of style. So the fact that you say that you didn't really want to do it maybe one of the reasons, would you say, for the laid back style? Would
Probably.
that
I
make sense?
was not into. I didn't want to.
Because you weren't scared. It wasn't like you were scared of the microphone. You
No.
just had a laid back style.
It was like I didn't want to be, I guess, known for the mic. I wanted to be known for because I play my instrument.
It's interesting. I mean, I say it's interesting because the lead mic folks early on are the ones who really caught your attention in this. So
It's
I'm
wild, right? Very
that's
wild.
interesting.
They the ones
That's
that caught my
very
attention.
interesting.
But I was the dude that just wanted to play my instrument.
Okay.
And so when I did rap, I didn't try to be like Sugar Bear. I didn't try to be like Funk. I couldn't be like Benny. I wasn't them guys.
Yeah.
So I just did or said whatever came out my mouth, and I never said or felt like I sounded or mimicked any of them.
Hmm.
And it's funny because, like I said, I just wanted to be known for playing my bass. But Sugar Bear told me something. He said, Doc, I'm known more so for my voice than me playing my bass guitar. And he said, and believe it or
Maybe
not,
our younger generation.
he said, that's all I know. He said, my bass. He said, but everybody knows Sugar Bear. They wait for me to say something. They
Right.
ain't wait to hear me play.
Right.
I said, wow, that's true. He said, they waiting to hear me say something. And I said, well, okay. I was never one that was pressed to rap. It was never my thing. It was easy to me. It was simple if you weren't afraid to converse with people. And I
You
said,
weren't afraid. That's
no,
what I mean by you weren't afraid of the microphone.
no, just talk to people. I mean, either they're gonna respond or they're not. And my thing was, if they didn't respond, somebody, you got 400 people in there, somebody gonna respond to you. I don't know who it's gonna be. Somebody's gonna respond. You know, and I'm gonna tell you the day that I realized that people paid attention to what I did.
Mm.
I made up this stupid little groove called AI. Said AI, baby. When, when I heard
That's
half
funny. I remember
a
that show.
when I heard half a cherries repeat that behind me, I'm like, oh shit, oh snap, okay, gotcha. They listening.
I remember that show.
Left cherries. Went up to the black hole to see Ray Essence. At that time, Funk them won't there. They didn't have no rapper.
Uh,
Benny hit left, Funk won't there. White Boy won't rapping. Funky Ned say, come up here. They playing. I get on the stage. Funky Ned whispers to me and says, hit that AI. We in the black hole. I did it. I stayed up there and rapped with him for about, I think I stayed up there for about 15, 20 minutes with him.
uh-huh.
And you know what was funny about that?
Uh-huh.
I said, for some reason, it just didn't feel right to me.
Okay.
I'm on stage with what I consider the greatest go-go band on earth.
Right.
And I felt like it just didn't feel right for me to be up there with them because I'm used to seeing Funk and Benny. And I'm like, I can't come behind that. No, that's just what I'm thinking. I can't come behind that cat. So it didn't feel right to me. But I did it. Went on back, Southeast, got back on the mic next night, cherries, and did what we did. I never thought about being the front mic. I never thought about being the first mic. It never was a plan. It just happened by default. I never planned it.
Would that be? Because I was going to ask you this, but I want to know with this AI. Because it's funny you said it ain't like something. It's just as soon as you said it, a flashback hit me with that AI. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my goodness, ooh, I just went down memory lane. But
yeah,
what would be? And it may not have happened by this time, but I'm gonna say by this time we're in the physical wonder wave. What would be your most memorable show or favorite? I don't know. Memorable and favorite may be two different things. What would be your most memorable show,
though?
Or you on that stage looking at that crowd? Because there's a vibe you get when you up on that stage. I know.
I got two. What you mean with physical wonder, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I got more than that, but two, the most two memorable. One was when we played at Crystal Skate, and it was about 500 kids out there, and we bought all the smoke and the dry ice, and we smoked the place up so bad that we couldn't even see each other on stage. So we kept playing, and we did what we did. But to see that many people that came out just to see us by ourselves, that was one. The other one was we did a show with down at Cherries, us, Chuck, and Biz Markie.
Okay.
I will never forget that night.
Why you say that?
That was the night I think I realized we had a little niche in the go-go because we didn't play first, we didn't play second, we played next to Chuck.
Ah, okay.
So there was a band that played first, then Benny the Masters played, then we played, then Biz Markie got up there, and then Chuck came. When Chuck didn't play because they got the shooting and shit and all that. But we was playing and we was doing what we do. And all of a sudden, I don't know, you might have been with Benny at that time.
I think I was with Benny at that time.
And when I tell you we got Cherries jumping, all of a sudden we go from cranking to all you hear is muff sound. Somebody took an axe and chopped our snake in half. That's when I realized we making some noise.
Somebody sabotaged you.
Somebody came in and cut our snake in half. Now you know me, one that ain't never scared to say what I say. I instantly went straight to Benny and them and pointed the finger at them and went nuts. I was calling every name in the book but Jesus. I walked off that stage, went back there to the door where most people know I worked in the office at Cherries too.
Right.
Mo, before you pay them, I took $500 out of their money. You gonna pay for my snake, nigga. Dave Rudd, like he ain't know what I was talking about. What you talking about?
Okay, now this is before. Dave Rudd, that's before my time. Okay.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I came after Dave left.
Okay, yeah. Dave Rudd was like, no, we ain't do that. We ain't do that. Well, I know the first band ain't do it.
Right.
I couldn't figure nobody else. Biz ain't do it. Chuck ain't do it. Who else could have did it but your crew members? That's how I felt that, and that's who I blamed. And I went and took my money back. I sure did. And we had problems ever since for a while. But the funny part was it was always issues with me and Dave, never with me and Benny. Benny was never caught up in the bull. He was cool all the way around the fence.
Right.
You know? But that's when I realized I think we got something. We mean something because everybody.
Yeah, when somebody comes sabotage your stuff while you playing, that means you making some noise. Everybody know that.
And we found out quick. We was tracing the problem and picked that snake up. That joker was cut in half. I'm like, mother freaker. Who in their right mind would do such a thing? And the first thing I said was Benny and the Masters.
When you cut a snake, man, that's some serious property damage. That's some.
Yes, Lord. Yeah, mind you, the band probably had nothing to do with it.
Right.
It could have been a fan, but whoever it was had a blade or a hatchet, and they did what they did.
They had to do something because that's a lot of cutting. That ain't just
cutting. That's a lot of cutting. And cut it quick, and the sound just started muffling. I'm like, What the hell happened? We couldn't figure it out, so we had to stop playing. But that's what it was then that I realized we got a little niche in this game. We making
Okay.
some people angry.
Okay.
You know,
How many recordings did you release, if any? Did you release any recordings
with
during that
Physical
time?
Wonder, I did 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 6.
Okay. Okay.
I did Hype with the Go-Go cassette. We did Return of the Fizz cassette. We did a single called Get Physical, which was our first one. We did Hey Good Looking, our second single. That was the single that I discovered Blue Eyed Daryl and brought him in the game. Uh, we
Right.
did,
'Cause Daryl, that's right. Daryl came up and it was in it for. Man, Daryl done been with
yeah.
everybody.
Daryl was 14 when I brought him in.
This.
And I'm gonna tell you, well, 14 or 15, maybe 15 or 16, because he was he was smart mouth. And he had his little homie, his little brother used to play congos with me, and he or tried to play anyway. And there was a show we had to do down Cherries with Chuck, and they would sit their congos on crates, and I'm like, man, no, I need stands. Ain't nobody bringing no congos on crates. We don't do that. Daryl said, "F you, Big Slim, they gonna work." And I'm like, "Who is you?" "I'm his brother." I'm like, "You got a lot of mouth for a little young boy." "Watch they work." I'm like, whatever. He sets them on quick, so he started playing in rehearsal. Like, whatever. We gets to the show that Saturday. His little brother gets stage fright. See all them people. Scared to death. Oh my God. He was terrified. Daryl set them jokers up on them crates. Now I'm furious at this time because I'm like, I don't nobody do no crates.
Right.
That little Bama got to playing them Congos. And I said, we gonna call you Go-Go Daryl from right now. That's your name. And he stayed on them Congos. His little brother wanted the job back. Nah, bro, you ain't getting it back. This is just young. What's your name, young? And I kept him around. And I'm the one that made him play drums. I put him on a lot of stuff. You know, he was like my son in the game.
People don't realize how much stuff Daryl is on them drums.
Oh man, so
much. I did.
So much, man. You know, because when I switched him to drums one night, Kevin had left to go play with AMFM. Daryl was, I don't want to play no drum. Well, you gonna play tonight? I don't want to play no drum. I said, look, just hold the pocket, don't move.
Right.
He got through that night. And after we played, EU played. I took a chair and set it on the stage and said, come on, sit right here. Watch this boy, watch Juju play. So he sat beside Juju and watched Juju play. Then Rare Essence played after that. I set that same chair, sit here, don't you move. Watch Foots play, watch Quentin play. And they let him sit there. Daryl was, from that point on, he was my drummer. Then he went to Junkyard and whatever and so on, and went back to Congos, back and forth. So the day I found out he was playing drums for Essence, I ain't gonna lie, I was like a proud father with a graduate. I was like, my man, and moved up the ladder.
Yeah.
You know. But so many came up, man, with me. Bruce Bailey, oh God, Winksy. So many of them came through my block, you know, and I was never that wannabe star. It was just one band, one sound for me. You know, it wasn't about who was the most important or the one, because I always felt that if you get that one individual star can always hold you hostage.
Right.
I was not that dude. I was like one band, one sound.
Right.
You know, so.
All right, so we're gonna move up because now we're coming into the 90s and stuff like that, and but eventually, even through the 90s, I'm gonna skip through the 90s. I noticed in documentaries, bands in the 90s get upset because they keep feeling the 90s getting skipped, but that's not the case. But but going through, I wanted to just to save time and all that, wanted to get into the whole transition when you became bass player with familiar faces. Now there's a whole new, I don't know, a whole new generation go seeing everything that's going on. And I know during the 90s, you still had how long did you have the Physical Wonder thing going?
I kept Physical Wonder up until 2000.
That's what I thought.
One
One thing about it, with you then and even now, you march to your own beat.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You never been one to cry about putting us on. You made sure y'all worked. You
You
know what I'm
know who
saying?
gave me that advice?
Who was that?
Pops.
Okay.
Pops always said, and this just, and people always, wait, why do you do that? Pops always said, bro, make your own lane.
Make your own
If you
lane.
make your own lane, you ain't got to worry about eating. Make your own lane, And so when Mo died in 90, I could, Cherries was going under because he had passed, so want nobody to keep it going. And I didn't play around a whole lot in the city because we kind of was the house band of Cherries. So I started finding different niches out in Maryland. Next thing I knew, I found a niche out in VA and deeper in VA. Next thing you know, I'm going from Alexandria, Virginia to Richmond, Virginia. Next thing
Right.
you know, I'm realizing that I'm getting 5, 6, 700 people down here in the country, just like Rare Essence getting 5, 6, 700 people up here in DC. So they can stay in DC, do their thing, because I can't compete with them there. But I built my own lane, and I said, well, we're gonna keep rolling. So from 1990 to 2000, for 10 years, we
Yeah.
ran a Virginia circuit every weekend. We
On
was
the regular.
on
On
a
the
record. We was in little chitlin circus. Man, we was playing in Bonds, and you'd be surprised how many people be coming out. Places that you'd be like, they gonna have a show here. Promoter be like, trust me, it's gonna get crowded. Man, 11 o'clock ain't nobody there. Man, 11:45, 500 people.
mm,
Wow.
mm,
But we ran that circuit with down there with Blackburn and Boy Wonder and all of them and Sam the Beast from these DJs. We
yeah.
ran with them guys, man, and created our own lane. Which is why I still go down there with this group and still can eat.
Because you built that lane already.
That's it.
That's really interesting. All right, so you had the physical wonder thing going, and I remember. I mean, even when I moved out of the area, I think during the time maybe when I had was I living probably during the time at one point I was living in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and I was hearing y'all coming out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
damn. You know what I'm saying? They coming here and stuff. So, all right. So, but then 2000. What did transition with the whole I want to say 911 with the familiar faces thing? How'd that come about?
Uh, well, it got to a point where Physical Wonder had to stop. I got tired of not playing, but there were other entities that kind of had to back off because I said, you know what? If we keep going, doing what we're doing, and that we were doing some things outside of playing,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna come back on us. And slowly it started coming back on certain band members. I was like, I'm not gonna go down. I'm gonna quit while we're ahead. So I quit and put it to sleep while we were still drawing 3, 4, 500 people. I just stopped
Mm-hmm.
because I said too many law enforcement people are starting to look at us and wonder, what are we doing? And we were just playing, but we were bringing out some of the wildest guys and starting to bring out some DC cats, and Maryland cats started following us down there and doing the hustle thing. And they like, this band is trouble. So
Ah,
before they
okay.
gave us that title, I just shut it down. And I took a year break.
All right. So you say you took a break and did what? Work just regular 9 to 5.
Work and just play my bass, work, and every now and then do a hit and miss gig here and there, some R&B stuff here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tony Shop called me. I said, I need you to fill in and play a bass for me one time. Play with this group I'm with. And he was with at the time, he was with WAP.
Right. Okay. Oh,
So
that's right. Yeah.
so I did about 3 or 4 shows with them. It was all right. But one of the shows I did with them, Bojack was there. He was like, man, you need to come fill in with us, real. Nah, I didn't do that. So what I did is I went to see 911 play, and I said, well, Floyd, y'all ought to let me open up. Now, mind you, I didn't really have a band. I still had everybody's number. So I called everybody up and said, you know what? We're going to open up with 911 down at Metro Club. Called all my physical wonder guys. We got up, and I called a young dude, I called him my nephew, little young RB from Primetime. I said, look,
Oh,
here,
okay.
I need you to rap now because my style, I'm thinking, is outdated
Okay.
compared to what's going on right now. So I would rap first 15 minutes, then I'd turn him loose and let him do his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that for a minute. And it just wasn't the headache of it. I just wasn't into trying to keep it together at that point because I
Mm-hmm.
said, you know what, I'm tired of running it because you still had guys that was running back and forth, still doing what they were doing, and I ain't want to compete with. I can't compete with that. One thing I'm tell you can't compete with when you're running a business. You got business guys out here. It's hard to compete with that game, the street game, and it's very hard to compete with the women that got them on hold to say, "Oh no, you can't go play tonight." You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So I wasn't trying to compete with that. So I just
I'm
backed
getting
off.
younger. We getting older. Yeah.
Yeah, I backed off. And one day Floyd said, "Shh, you doing the same thing I'm doing." I said, "You ought to let me come over there and play bass with you one time." He said, "Shh, you ain't gonna have that much more fun over here. I'm going through probably the same thing you going through." I said, "Oh well."
People don't know. That's why Benny got tired of having his own band, and he enjoyed himself playing with others. He
It'll
got
run. If you got to have a mindset for it, man.
yeah.
But I also realized that I never was a follower, so it was
Right.
hard for me to follow with someone else. And not, I mean, I could do it, but I would always see the fault or correct them. Hey, you ought to try it this way. You ought to try it that way. So Blue and Bojack say, man, look here, we put 911 back together. Come on. So I went there and played. I knew Floyd for years. You know what I'm saying? Knew him for years. And I ain't know if he wanted me in the band or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because Blue and Bojack said you gonna play, and Tony Shop, he ain't say nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we was 911 playing in front of nobody. I mean, we would literally play at the Safari Steakhouse, and it was maybe 10 people in there.
I remember. I
Yeah.
remember.
And one day Floyd called me and said, "Look here, I think I'm gonna change the name." I said, "Well, what you gonna do?" He said, "I think I'm gonna call it Familiar Faces." I said, "Hold up, no, you can't do that." I said, "That belongs to Ivan Golf
Right.
and Stefan." And he said, "They ain't playing, they ain't using it." I said, "That name is incorporated. I don't think you should do that per se. Yeah, think of something else." Well, we all know Floyd is hard-headed, bullheaded. It's hard to tell him he ain't gonna no. So he overrode that. It was his group. So he said, "We're gonna call it Familiar Faces." Okay, gotcha. We slowly handpicked who was in the band. He would call and say, "Okay, I'm gonna reach out for Michael Muse. What you think?" I knew Mike Muse work. All right. What are you trying to target? We're gonna target the grown and sexy thing. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Because Listen was doing their R&B thing,
Yeah.
and his idea was we can do that R&B thing, but with that beat underneath it. We'll kill them. Okay, you say so. I'm game. We would pull in Michael Muse. And next thing we're pulling in that person, and we're pulling in that person, and getting rid of this person, and pulling in that person. And we started opening up for EU at the Market Lounge. And it was, not bad. We were playing once a month, twice a month. Blue was the drummer. Everything was going kind of starting to build up. The next thing I know, and then Jahar came in and started managing, helping him manage. And we started bringing in different people. And before you knew it, it started to get a little bit of steam behind it.
Mm-hmm.
We started playing with Chuck again and started playing with other groups. We never played with Air or Rare Essence, but
Did you want to play with wrestling?
oh, I would have loved it.
Uh-huh.
Because one thing I knew about Donnell was he won't gonna just sit down. He's gonna create a whole show to make sure if we gonna get blown out, we're gonna get blown out by that much. That's it. That was
that era. You from that era. It's
yeah. He won't gonna sit down. He was gonna like, no, we're gonna execute this. We're gonna kill it. We ain't gonna just go in and just play. We gonna make sure it's right, or we ain't doing it. And it got to that point, and I knew the pressure of being a leader. I know the pressure of being the one that got to get everything and do everything. And I could see when it was getting on his nerves. So I would step in from my experience and do a little bit this on the side, do this on the side, pull this band member aside, say, look, you need to do this, you need to do that, to his unknowing, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I thought he didn't know. But it got to a point where he knew I was kind of sticking my nose in the business part of it, uninvited. But there was just me. I see when something ain't right, I'm gonna speak on
Mhm.
and instead of shut it down, he kind of welcomed it,
Okay.
and
Okay.
he was kind of like, I appreciate it, because he knew that's what I used to do,
Right.
so it got to a point where we weren't what you would call dudes that hung out together at all.
Mhm.
My whole thing is I ain't here to play basketball with you. I ain't here to go movies with you. I ain't here to hang out with girls with you. Pay me, I play, I leave. That's it. That was the game for me. I play, you pay, good, done deal. I don't want to go shoot no hoops with y'all. We ain't buddies. That's the way I carried it. And that's the way I was from day one because it was business to me. It wasn't about friendship, you
Okay.
know. Never mind the guys we had in the band with the Bula Ropers, who one of the longtime friends of mine and one of what I've always considered one of the baddest guitar players I would
Yes,
ever know.
indeed. Yes, indeed.
Godfather and BJ. Oh my God, the squad started getting deep. The squad
Powerful.
started getting deep,
Mhm.
and before we know it, here comes Stomp, here comes Smoke, Dwayne Lee is there, uh, and then he brings in this female, and I said, no, she ain't the one.
Mhm.
He brought in Halima. Now,
You
like,
said, you said she wasn't the one, really.
I said, no, she won't the one. And
Uh,
not that because when she first sung with us, it was at Cranberries, and she only did a little something. So I was like, no, she ain't the one.
mhm.
Then she would show up again and sing again, but do better than she did the last time. I'm like, nah, she ain't. And then he said, well, she keep pressing me for this job. She keep begging for this job. We need a female singer. I think I'm going to hire her. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe look around. Then she come and sing another song. Then she came in and sung My Funny Valentine. I like, nigga, if you don't lock this girl into a contract, we got problems. And that was it. Next thing I know, it was a whole nother production going on, bro.
When I'm trying to think, when did I get hooked on Alima? Was it the Free Yourself by
That,
Maybe
that was
Free
it.
Yourself by Fantasia? Oh
And
my God.
let me tell you how that came about.
Whew.
When that song, when I brought that song to the band, I said, and he, he was very iffy about who she dealt with in the band because he
Mhm.
didn't want everybody to talk to everybody. Everybody, certain people couldn't, just do your job and that was it. I pulled Halim aside, I said, look here, we're going to do this song by Fantasia called Free Yourself. You know what she said? I've heard. I said, sing that joint. So we practiced it and lit that joint up.
My gosh.
Lit that joint up, man. And after that, hey, look, after that, Dardell ain't had no problem with what songs I brought.
Yeah, boy. Whew, yeah, yeah.
That joint took it to the whole, and to this day, we still kill that song.
Hmm. Ah, okay. Well, yeah. If I came to see, I would probably request it. Hopefully, y'all been practicing it because
Bro, we've made it better than it was then. Because I always felt that. In fact, when we played down Zanzibar one night and Fantasia showed up, she was down there. She was in town and she showed up. We were singing Free Yourself.
I
Yeah,
remember
yeah. They would her management team wouldn't want her to sing, but she was like, give me that mic. I gotta say a verse. She sung a verse, and then she came back and said, sing that song, girl. And went on the radio the next day and talked about how good we played her song.
that.
I was like, yo, we did something good that night. We did something good that night.
All right. So, and this was going good because I can tell you that particular unit that you had, that y'all had with familiar faces, probably was my favorite of all, of all the
Bro,
levels. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
tell
it
it
was.
like it is. It was one of the most dynamic, unpredictable bands there was. And what I mean by unpredictable is you never knew what we was gonna do. But what you did know is we was going to give you 1,000%.
Yeah.
We left people applauding. There were shows we left people crying. There were shows that she was singing and people was in tears. And you sitting here like, what's wrong with you? Oh, she sung that song and it touched my heart. I'm like, and you sitting here crying in a go-go? You know, we did things with that band that I think was, I ain't gonna say we were ahead of our time. I think we were just the
Y'all
chemistry.
was in that
So
zone because something I just remember too. I remember before Halima came in, nobody thinking that y'all was going to be able to outdo what you already did with Adia.
right, right,
See what I'm saying? So it was. So I think when she came in, because Adia had put such an
yeah,
imprint in,
because
that when
she had her own style.
right, she had such an
You know,
imprint that when Helena came in, people were like, "Well, who is this?" Until, like I said, I heard "Free Yourself," and I was like, "Oh, I'm free. Myself is free." You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
because
that unit was. I mean, the unit was strong. Whether we talking about Zanzibar, whatever, and then all of a sudden, as it go, it I guess I don't know if it comes apart because we into another transition. Probably that's probably one of the. And I guess no. Now if you think about it, a lot of times when bands have transitions, it do be during their peak.
yeah, for some reason, because we had Michael Muse, and then we brought in Khalil,
Right, right, right,
and the sound again kind of changed the difference because you had Michael Muse singing the old classic R&B stuff. You had Khalil able to bring the new R&B stuff, and you
right.
had Limo singing and doing whatever the fuck she wanted to do.
But y'all was already in that zone,
We
so
was
whatever
already in the
happened,
zone.
you were still in that zone.
We was already in that zone. And the thing about it is, one thing I can say, I played with a lot of guitar players, and Dwayne Lee was one of my he's I have two guitar players that I just am locked in with, and he's one of them. We created so much on stage. We never created it in rehearsal. We made it up on stage as we went. He would play a line and I follow, or I play a line and he adds something. Next thing I know, Donnie will come back the next week, say, play that again, y'all played last week. And he done got a rap to it. Next thing you know, we done made a song. I think we made more originals that we never recorded than probably some of the bands out here that's been together. And I mean, we had plenty.
I remember.
Never recorded them.
I remember. Gosh damn, I remember. Make me want to create.
That band
But
was hard to touch, man.
hmm?
That band was hard to touch, bro.
Yeah,
Hard
but like I say,
to come behind
now
that
we're
band.
talking exit familiar faces into team. I mean, not enter faces.
Which started as a joke.
You say styles a joke. Meaning, what do you mean?
Stomp. Sean Bay Mitchell had a party. He didn't want to pay Familiar Faces because we were charging.
Right.
So he talked to Stomp. Stomp said, I'll put together a band for you. Okay. Just to do his little birthday party in his house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, little did I know that
Was
the
Sean
band,
Baker with the
yeah,
drummer?
Sean Bay Mitchell, yeah, the boxer.
Right. Okay.
He Stomp had me and he called Dwayne, Khalil, Halima, and he had Kirky, keyboard Chris, and I believe that was it, and Smoke. And we went down in there and we played and made a few dollars. And someone called Donnell and told him we were down there playing without him. Someone told him exact words were, your band down here cranking without you. That later that night we had to be down Zanzibar. We get down Zanzibar, you can feel the tension. on
Okay.
stage that something was wrong.
Right.
And we couldn't figure it out. We were just passing it, killing time, and he thought we were all needing to be a band. And I said, nah, we just did a show for Sean Bay. Because Stomp was not with the band anymore. Jam and
Right.
Jeff had came in. I said, we
Right.
just all did. He said, so y'all not creating a band on your own? I'm like, hell no, ain't doing all that. No.
Mhm.
But the tension never left after that because I guess the people that called him, they were, I guess, solidified in his mind that it's possible that they can survive without you. And he didn't like that.
Mhm.
Did I feel it was wrong on our part? Not really, because we were all independent musicians, for one. But I didn't know at the time that all of us, I knew four of us were called. I knew it was me, Dwayne, Khalil, and I didn't know Smoke was coming. I didn't know Keyboard Chris was coming. I didn't know what Stump was putting together. You know, and we went in there, and of course, the things we played is we had to play what we knew.
Right.
And this party was crowded, and we did what we did. Went down Zanzibar. I'm sorry, trade winds, and cranked up and did what we did. Once he talked to me and pulled me, we talked in the back. He said, "So you're not putting together your own band?" I'm like, "Hell no." He like, "Okay, that's a relief. Let's go make this money. Let's go tear this house down." And it was cool for a few months, and then somehow things started to go south. Not with me, but with Dwayne Lee and Floyd, and then Halim and Floyd kind of started bumping heads, and Jahar, they started bumping heads, and the the story of, and I don't know who made the statement, but the statement was, you need to slow her down because she's going to be bigger than you.
Mhm.
That comment came out, and that was, I think, the dagger that said, okay, something's wrong here. Next thing I knew, I got the phone call, and the phone call was, okay, Halim and I no longer can coexist. So I need you to tell her we ain't gonna use it no more.
Mhm.
But tell her she can hang around for about 4 or 5 months so she can save up some money. And I said, let me get this straight. She is getting fired, but she can hang around for 3, 4, 5 months till she saves some money. I'm confused.
Mhm.
Who gets fired, but you still want them to stay there? So he didn't want her to go, but there were people in his ear telling him that she need to go because she's getting bigger than you.
Mhm.
And he always had a dream that he could be him, her, and I will say two other people, and they could do a Fuji's type thing and succeed. So he never was against her for real, because that's
Right.
one of his favorite singers. But like I said, when you got people in your ear and they're telling you things, and you don't really, and you see other things, you don't know which way to turn. You can kind of lean towards the people that you think your closest folks.
Mhm.
And we had went back and forth for months about keeping the band together. In fact, what most people don't know is that band was as good as we were, as tight as we were with the chemistry. For about a year and a half, we were total, they on this side, we on this side. I was the mediator, keeping it like this.
Okay.
When he
And
had a problem, he would talk to me. I would relay it to them. If I had a problem, I would talk to him. He relayed it to his side of people. It was crazy, like the WBA and the WBC, bro.
Mhm.
We all, but nobody knew it. Nobody knew that we were speaking to each other like that.
Mhm.
But when we got on that stage,
Yeah,
all that
when you
went out
got
the
on the
window.
stage, right, right.
All that
That's
went out the
that's
window
your
when we got on that
classic
stage.
unsung story.
Yeah, we was that David Lee Roth Van Halen thing. When
Yeah,
when
yeah.
when 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 you sit back and you realize that once you get on that stage, everything else don't matter no more.
Yeah,
To me, that right there tells you can coexist with anybody.
that's
You can do it's
that's hard.
business,
Mhm.
and that's what we did.
Okay. All right. So basically, Y'all went and I remember, like I said, it's been some years. Right around that time when y'all went and y'all had y'all started the Faces You Know thing. You did we That's when we had the Cato in the Morning radio show or whatever,
Right.
and y'all did the interview. That's online. Anybody who can go to YouTube and pull that up. Back then, we weren't videotaping these radio shows, but you can hear it in its entirety to get the whole story for that. I don't want to dwell too much on that. The story is more supposed to be more on Doc Hughes in his history. So we touched on that. So we're gonna move on and basically touched on the whole. Now you got the Faces You Know thing going. You know what I'm saying? Even the name. What made you even choose the name? Well, I mean, I'm sure it's obvious.
I
Well, no,
didn't
I
choose
won't
it.
say obvious because I might be wrong.
I hated the name. My cousin Damon from Print Depot and Irvin, yes, Irvin, that Irvin, was just playing one day. Said, "Ha ha, what y'all gonna call yourself?" Because we did a party for Irvin. We didn't have no name.
Right.
My cousin Damon said, "Regard y'all niggas faces you know. You was familiar now, but we know your faces, faces you know." Ha ha ha. Irvin was like, "Okay, that's what it's gonna be. Faces you know." I ain't listening to that. Let it go. I won't going through that. Next thing you know, brother, a dude books us to do a Christmas party. He gives me a flyer with faces you know on it. And I said, "That's not our name." He said, "Well, that's what I'm using right now, Doc." So Sugar Bear calls me and I asked Sugar Bear advice when I was talking to him. I said, "Man, everybody trying to call us faces, you know." He said, "Don't move." And I said, "What you mean?" He said, "If you move now, you can hurt yourself." I said, "Why you say that?" He said, "Because quite a few people didn't mention that name to me. So if you change it now, you might hurt yourself. Just keep it and run with it. See what happens."
Mm-hmm.
And here we go. So I just changed the way we spelt it. Just like Faith Payton just spelt it. That's how we used to spell it. you
Yeah.
know. And I said, okay, I got to change the way we spell it so it makes sense. So nobody else would want to copyright it. No one else would want to jump on it. It would make sense when they see it. So I said, I'm going to spell it Faycez. And the other band was like, "What does that mean?" I said, "I don't know what it means, but if you say it out, it'll still look like it say faces. So that's what it's going to be.
Creative.
And we're going to use the letter U and run from there." And that's what happened. And that's how that name ended up sticking.
Okay. Speaking of Faith, right now, Faith Payton, shout out going out to Faith Payton. She asked a question and put it back up. And I don't want to wait till later because I may forget this question. But you see, the question was when she asks, "Do you think can all living go-go legends play in a band together now? Do you think, or is it, or and I'm gonna add to it, or is it too many egos that
Too
it
many
would
egos.
too many egos?" Okay.
Because you can sit back and say that has been done. Now I'm gonna say what you know what maybe now it might not be, but 5-10 years ago it ain't happening. Because I think one thing I'm gonna tell you what I think this whole pandemic has did. That's made us realize that things are more precious than just the ego thing. Now there's some guys out there still tripping on the egos with the big heads, and they can have that. It's all good,
Mhm.
Do I think all the legends could do it? I think because they respect each other right now, they probably can. But there would be some egos. There would be some egos. I think, and it might not be. You'd be surprised.
Well, you know what? You know what I always said about DC, this DC area, that DC is full of leaders, and
That's
because
true.
of that, everybody have their own idea.
That's
You know
true.
what I'm saying? That's not really a bad thing. DC is full of leaders. Everybody who say, "I think it should go this way," and none of them are wrong. It's
Right.
just there's a different path. That's just my opinion.
I agree with you. And the thing is that some of them have remarkable ideas and don't know how to make them execute.
Mm-hmm.
But you always notice the person that can execute it always want to kind of twist it a little bit more to make it seem like it's their idea. The next thing you know, now the fighting comes, and here you go, everybody upset with each other. But yeah, if they could put the egos aside, man, I think we would have had a genre like hip hop. I think we would be more records would have been out, more production would have been out if we could have put the a lot of them put the egos aside.
Okay, interesting. Interesting. Now, I gotta expand on that because I know you're saying people say, and I'm gonna bring this up, and I'm gonna bring up a conversation that I saw online the other day that was really interesting. And you say you think more original material would have happened. And I always, when people say that, I always say, man, there's so much original. I've got many original stuff from you, whether
Right.
it's Zoom or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I'm gonna ask you about this. So what happens is, I think one of the biggest issues that the people don't get to hear it. Now, what the conversation that was interesting to me, and I want to bring it up. I want to talk about because I think this is a serious issue. A conversation was, do you think it's a good idea for DJs at a go-go to play go-go music? And some people, I know some people saying, it's probably not a good idea because, you don't want the band to have competition. But then I got this thinking, well, if the DJs at the go-go don't play the go-go music and the radio don't play the go-go music that the bands play, how the hell can anybody hit? For example, during the time I was playing with proper utensils, and I brought this. I said, I remember one time in the Metro Club, I think we may have been on a break or something, and DJ, I forgot what DJ was in there, DJ Dave, whoever, in the Metro Club, he put on Northeast Groovers Water. And I remember hearing it for the first time. I remember the first thing I'm hearing is, oh, damn, those are the lyrics to the Aqua Boogie Show. You know what I'm saying? But I remember many times being in the Metro Club or whatever club back then, we talking early 90s, late 80s, where you would hear, if a go-go band released a record, you would hear it. At least you heard it in the go-go.
Well, I think where that post was about, I think where the confusion is, that post should have specified what they were talking about. They're constantly talking about DJs playing go-go tapes or go-go CDs.
Now I can understand that exactly.
I've had a DJ actually play a CD of my band at my show, which was the stupidest. I had to go back and snatch it. Like, dude, did that make any sense? I'm here playing, but you gonna play a CD of me. That was just stupid. Now, to play the original material is definitely not a problem. I would rather DJs play the original go-go material, but don't come to my show and go put on a backyard CD and a Northeast CD and blah blah. Now you want me to come out the gate and compete with a CD.
A live PA joint. That's
Yeah.
totally different. That's totally different.
You're not gonna play the slumming joint. You're gonna play one of their best joints. So now I gotta go to work early because now I gotta see if I can keep this crowd hyped. Now that's, I think, is the complaint.
Okay.
But to play
that's understandable.
Yeah, to play the record. No, play it.
Good idea with let's say the tune y'all put out called Zoom. That's just one of them. Wouldn't it be cool? I remember when WAP came out with Sunglasses.
Right.
And every time I would go to Club U, they played that on the regular.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And because it got played on Club U on the regular, it was hitting regular radio. Because usually club songs that hit the club and get popular in the club, that's when radio are copycats.
Exactly.
They jump to what's popping in other places. Now we're talking social media. But The whole point is, so I just wanted to stand on my soapbox here, at least if anybody watching this, DJs, you want to help go out, play these original material. Don't be a gatekeeper saying I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Play it, see what the crowd like. If they don't like it, don't play it again. But
I've heard that before.
If it can't get a chance in the go, we have no chance, and y'all supposed to help us out.
Well, I've had DJs tell me they won't play Hey Hey because I had Dirty Rico on it, and they don't roll with Rico.
I don't even want to cuss, but that's another dumb joke. That's just like two radio PGC saying we're not gonna play something, and they, you know how they used to do that. PGC if
I'm not gonna go further with what I just said.
If KYS won't play something because Rico or Flex is on it or something like that.
Rico was on the record, so we're not gonna play that song.
Wow. Well, That's that's unfortunate, but
But
I
they
hope
ended up playing
somebody
it
hears.
anyway because
Huh?
they had too many people bugging them for it. So they ended up playing it.
Good,
But I'm
good.
sure it didn't last long. You best to bet they got that out of rotation quick on that station.
If you're gonna be the tastemakers, let people taste that go go.
Let them taste it, man.
Let it,
You
you
know, now is the time because
not
you
the
know.
not the PA stuff. That's totally understandable. So anyway, I know we running down on time. Kind of went over time than I expected, but man, has been very, I won't say enlightening, but just very, very informative. You know, is there a question? Is there anything that you would like to do that you haven't done in regards to this music and go-go thing?
Well, what I would like to do, and I still attempt to do it, is when
Mm-hmm.
I put out original material, I would love to get the city to support our own music. And even though they say they do, you can tell by record sales that they don't. They support it when they hear it. They'll come to the show. We respect that. We love that. We love you for it. But it's something, and I don't know if it's something to do with the fact that they'd rather just hear you live than to hear you on the radio or hear your records. You know what I'm saying? Because I could sit here and say, with Faces You Know, I have released 12 or 13 song records, maybe. Think, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and the last two, which was Hey Hey, and the one before that with Halima, the one that I had to connect with El DeBarge to do a dream.
Yeah,
They
yeah, oh,
most
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, they got the most play and respect. But you want to know why? I
Why?
took it outside the Beltway. I took it down south first before I brought it here.
Mm-hmm.
They started playing it in North Carolina and Virginia Beach before they played, before I gave it to any DJ in DC.
Okay.
By the time I gave it to a DJ in DC, of course, well, Rico was going to play it because he's on it. And Donnie Simpson and was loving it, so they let him play it and play it and play it. But by the time I said, okay, here you go, Rico, was a finished product, I had already had some Raleigh hits, some hits in Charlotte, North Carolina A&T, those Aggies. In fact, Saturday we doing the Aggie homecoming, virtual homecoming this Saturday, so you can catch that online as well. So it's crazy how I went outside the box of DC to get it played first to see how people would respond and to see people that's not from here respond to your material. Like you, Beyonce or somebody is, man, it's enlightening. And then you get here and you hear people say what they love. Oh, that Joan crank, or I don't like that Joan, man. That Joan ain't better than such and such as Joan. Or okay, well, I'm not competing with TCB. I'm only competing with myself.
Right,
And I
right,
tell people that every day. I'm not in competition with nobody but myself. Every time I'm only as good as I can keep going. You know what I'm saying? So as long as Halima singing, KO singing, Khalil singing, nigga, I'm playing.
all right. Question: what can people expect who haven't seen you live expect at a live performance of Faces You Know?
Now, this is the funny part, because I've heard this a lot. A lot of people say, and this is how I wanted it to be. Y'all don't play like a band. Y'all play more like a DJ. And I said, what does that mean to you? They said, you mix songs up and you keep them coming. You keep them coming. You drop the pocket, but then you enter this song, you take it back, you bring it up, you bring some old stuff, you put some new stuff, you put some hip hop, you put some R&B, you put some jazz. Y'all like a gumbo. So a dude asked me, what type of music do you play? What genre? And I said, well, I don't really have a genre like that. I said, because I can play everything. He
Mm-hmm.
said, so you're not just a go-go band. I said, no. I said, I can play go-go. I play gospel, play R&B, play rap, hip hop, rock, jazz. I'll play at a funeral if you pay me, which we have done before. So like I told him, I said, go-go is our main genre of music. I said, but I built my band to be a band. And he always asked me, he said, well, what does that mean? So when somebody said, what genre do you play? I said, I play music.
Mm-hmm.
He said, so you really don't set yourself up in a genre. I said, I play music. We are a music group. It ain't nothing we can't do. He said, well, then you ought to call your genre gumbo. Because I got a CD from y'all and y'all play everything. He said, y'all had me dancing from the old school to the new school. He said, and I've never heard that before. He said, y'all kind of reminded me of a DJ. And I said, that's what I want because the DJ keeps you on the floor.
So is that what you doing when you leave rap and you DJing?
I'm
With
DJing.
you? I love that. I got that from funk. I love that. I
I'm
love
DJing. I'm watching the crowd. When they look like they getting ready to fall off, I'm not gonna finish the song. I'm gonna jump into another song so fast you're gonna sit back and think, damn, he's just only thing I'm missing is somebody to scratch it. And you move. And I surround myself with a young drummer. And I say that because they got that young energy. You know, you keep a young drummer, you're gonna stay fresh. He keeps me young.
that. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just saying he keeps me young. You know what I'm saying? He keeps me moving. So it keeps me on my toes because my brain ain't always moving like it used to be. So sometimes you got to get them young thoughts in there.
Right. What do you feel distinguishes an artist from a musician? From just a musician?
Woo. Well, I think in that case, it's hard to say that. It's hard to give a good answer to that question because I know so many artists and I know so many musicians. And I'm going to tell you what I consider certain people. I can consider Prince an artist because
Mhm.
he creates left, right, upside down, and can play anything. It's nothing he can't do. It's nothing he can't do.
Mhm.
You know, I can consider uh, trying to think of somebody that plays an instrument, and I know, and don't get mad at me because I know this is your band. I know you love Frankie Beverly to death. That's your heart. That's your soul. Oh wow, that's your greatest, and I love him too.
Uh,
But he ain't one of my top favorite bands out the game. You know, he has a nice catalog, yes, Lord.
mhm.
But when you look at an artist like Prince, he
Mhm.
don't need a band if he don't want one, and he can still sell out a crowd.
Right. Right.
Now, I'm hating to say this to you.
Oh, I mean, everybody like who
I
they
don't
like.
think I don't think Frankie could sell out without his band.
Okay. Well, now I mean Frankie old now, so
Even then,
Frankie ain't the same Frankie.
my
It's
point, what I'm
hard.
trying to say is there are some people that are
Mhm.
just beyond the instrument.
So you
And
don't think? So I'm just curious. You don't think Frankie is beyond his band? You don't think Frankie alone? In other words, okay, let's say for
if he
example,
went solo,
well, you talked about earlier how one thing about wrestling, you knew everybody on the stage name.
everybody.
But in Maze, did people really know everybody in the band? I mean, they knew Bug maybe. You know what I'm saying?
I knew
They knew
Frankie Beverly.
you knew Frankie Beverly. That's what I'm saying. So
That's
did
it.
it matter who his band was?
I knew every one of Earth, Wind, and Fire members almost by name. I knew every one of Ohio Players members by name. I knew some of because it all depends. Now I'm
Mm-hmm.
not. Trust me. Riding down the street on a Saturday night, boy, Maze, that's what you're listening to.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're listening to.
Yeah.
But Frankie is the type that I think if you say we're gonna put Frankie on a stool and let him sing to some orchestra, yeah, I need to hear the whole band.
Shoot.
I need to hear the whole band.
Shoot.
Because the whole band makes a difference.
We
Yeah.
agree. We agree to disagree because Frankie's voice is so unique. Well, like
Oh,
I said, much
very unique, bro. It's the most unique. His voice can't be matched. He's very unique. But
right.
some people need. I'm gonna tell you what I got an issue with. It ain't a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
Washington D.C. loves mint condition.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do too. But
Mm-hmm.
I love the Tony band better.
Oh,
Now, I'm
me too. Hell yeah.
gonna tell you what me and Dwayne Lee had a problem with.
Who?
He felt that if they went head to head, that Mint would destroy them. And I said, Dwayne, Mint don't have enough hits like Tony. And he said, yeah, they do. I said, no, they don't. I said, because Tony was making hits before they even put the band together. It was just three of them. I said, dude, if you going hit for hit, Tony can't compete. I mean, Mint can't compete. I'm sorry. But if you going, who got the better sounding band? Now, I mean, Mint Condition is vicious.
Yeah.
Vicious. Now
good,
ask
but I
me,
still pick
wait
Tony.
a minute, but ask me, do I accept that Stokely is on his own?
I hear you there. I hear you there. Okay, I hear you on that one. Yeah, but at the same time, people are accepting that Raphael Sadiq is doing it on his own though.
There's a different entity there. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because Tony, it wasn't just Raphael Sadiq. His brother sung some of them songs that were
Right.
hits. So you had a package of people there that was doing some things. Raphael's sound is slightly a little different than Tony's, even though he was there with him.
Yeah.
Now you take all of Raphael and all of Tony and put that together, and you take all of Stokely and all of Mint Condition. There is no way you could tell me, Dwayne Lee, that they can compete because Raphael's a genius, and
And
that is another part.
Tony had Jubu Smith with him.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to tell you, Tony was bad, man. Them boys, bruh, I listen to them all day, every day, and I'm a Raphael Sadiq junkie.
Yeah.
And because, and the funny part about it is, he plays some of the oddest, weirdest bass lines I ever heard. He don't play bass like nobody else. I can listen to, as soon as I hear the bass line, I know it's Raphael. I know his sound.
Okay.
You know, so I love that. You know, coming from a P-Funk dude, you know, I listen to all them bass players coming up. But one thing somebody always asks me, they say, who was your most favorite bass player out of all the bass players you loved? And I love Boosie, and I love Stanley Clarke and Marshall Jones and Mark and all of them from Slave. But you would never guess who sticks out to me the most.
Marcus Miller. I don't know who.
Bernard Edwards.
Bernard. Oh, it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because just a few hours ago I was watching the clip of him playing "Everybody Dance."
He is the only bass player I have heard that makes the groove move from the minute the record start.
Yeah. Rest in peace,
Bernard
Bernard.
Edwards is one of the most slept on bass players in the game and one of the best bass players in the game. And I'm not knocking nobody else because I love them all. I'm a Marcus Miller's, Raphael fan, Boosie fan, Stanley Clarke. But it's something about Bernard Edwards' groove that made me learn play on the one with the groove. Not the way James Brown said play the one, but be the leading instrument that makes the song move. That's what Bernard Edwards did. Every song him and Nile Rodgers played together.
Yeah, he was clean.
Clean. And had some mean runs with him, man. So, you know, I'm just a Bernard Edwards fan. I like so many different bass players, and I'm not knocking your man Frankie. Love him to death. Love Maze to death. But Frankie solo, I would have to see it to accept it. Because I still haven't accepted the Stokely by himself thing. Because every time I hear Stokely by himself, you know what I'm listening to? I'm listening to Mint Condition. Just under Stokely's name.
Frankie is Maze.
Yes,
everything about Maze is Frankie.
You're right.
Remember, Philip Wu had that in. That's why Philip Wu had to leave for a minute. But you know what I'm saying?
But Philip Bailey by himself could not sound nothing like Earth, Wind, and Fire.
He did all right though. His Jones.
Oh, he did all right. He did all right.
He may not have done as bad as Maurice White's solo project, but I
don't even remember that one.
Stand By Me, when Maurice White did Stand By Me.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Because Earth, Wind, and Fire to me was one band, one sound.
Faith.
Faith.
Pull up the Chic song called "Everybody Dance" with Bernard.
Everybody Dance, boy, Save Your Fair. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God, man. We can go on and on with Chic. Yeah. You know, they had so much stuff outside the disco stuff that was just mean. Mm-hmm. You know.
Let me ask you on this go-go thing. What did it look like to you? 2020. Go-go 2020.
Go-go 2020 been put to a halt, man. I'm looking forward to 2021, 2022 with if this stuff can dissolve and vanish of what's it going to bring, because a lot of bands aren't going and are not already surviving this. Right. A lot of groups have been hit to where it is hurting them so bad that they might can't come back from it
Mhm.
because they were so dependent on what they had, and some of them spots they had are now gone. I'm blessed to still have a spot.
It's ironic. I remember years of asking this question, not knowing anything about this, but because I was trying to get a particular answer, so I would always ask if push ever came to shove, if Go-Go's were to ever get closed down for whatever reason. Of course, we knew nothing about no COVID was going to happen, but I wanted people to think. I said, if that would have ever happened, did you have a plan B?
You've heard my plan Bs.
Yeah,
Every Halima song I sent you ain't go.
right.
So all the shows I do, believe it or not, all of them aren't go because I do some songs and do some shows where it's just her up front and five of us playing background.
Right.
She sold out the Bethesda Jazz. She sold out the Carlisle. We've sold out quite a few shows, and I built it that way because that just what you said, just in case it fold. What do you do? And I'm blessed to say we got ways to go. I got different ways I can run. I can run with KO. I can run with Khalil and take the Congos totally out of my set. Not that I would, because like I tell people, Congo's been in music for years. You just won't, I ain't got to play that beat
Right.
to still make money. So I have a plan B and a plan C. But I would love to see, with all the hype that Go have gotten for the last 2 years on up, I would love to see it just keep running, because I'm gonna tell you something, man. I heard a song by the Yin Yang Twins that's supposed to drop. Bruh, I don't know where they got the beat. I had to call Stomp on this and say, "Is that you playing?" He said, "Nah, it ain't me, Doc." Boy, you'd have thought they made that song right here in Southeast.
Really?
Oh my God.
About to drop? Really? I can't. I want to hear this.
Straight cranking. And everybody talking about, oh, the Stevie Wonder jump crank got a little go. This Yin Yang is straight go. And I'm sitting here talking about some Atlanta rappers playing our music and bigging it up. It just sound good. I ain't even gonna sit in front.
Right. Right.
It cranks. And I kind of got a little nervous. I'm like, oh my God, don't tell me that they're gonna take our stuff, make it
So,
not real and get and benefit off of it. And we still don't benefit from it.
so would you say Plan B is releasing material? Because that's what I was trying to get folks to say. Because Gogo has become over the years, in my
That
opinion,
should be playing A.
Gogo has become more a business of the party and less a business of the music. And what I mean by that, releasing product.
Cater to what the club owners want if you want to eat in this game. That's where it went bad at.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where it went bad at. We let the club owners dictate that we either play the way I want to hear it, or I'll just use a DJ. And we fell for it. And now it's to the point where that's all the clubs do. They dictate how to play. You come in here playing too much go-go, you can't play here. You can't do this if you bring in all these Congos. You can't play here. So how I had to do it to get in some of the places, I had to go in there with just Salim up front, R&B it, slowly drop a pocket underneath one or two of the songs. They would slightly accept it. By the time they see the crowd, the third or fourth time we play, they're accepting it. Now, Doc, y'all can do whatever y'all want to do.
Ah,
That's
okay.
how I had to get myself in the game. So now they won't take nothing less. Nah, man, you can't play laid back. Go for it. Because I remember the owners at the Half Note said, we heard that we're holding you back the way that y'all play, because people keep telling me, the fans, people, we need to let y'all play like y'all played the Babylon. And at that time, Half Note was R&B, and you won't doing a whole lot of go. She said, so for one night, I want you to do what you do at Babylon. I said, nah, y'all not ready. She said, I need you to do it. I said, nah, y'all not ready. She said, just one time, you got the freedom to go. So I went. At the end of the night, she said, that's the way you play here from now on. Do you? Whatever that is. And I was like, all right.
Got to wrap it up. Couple of questions I always ask, the wrap up questions. You finish this sentence. Without music, I would be
A musician.
so. Without music, I would be a musician.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's in my blood. I ain't gonna do nothing else.
Music. Okay, that leads me to music. Makes me feel blank.
Music
Music makes me feel
makes you feel great.
okay. Support music because
It brings joy into the world.
all right. Now, before we roll out, let everybody know you still got of course the faces thing going on.
Mhm.
How can people connect with you, whether online websites, your material and all that kind of stuff? Let it be
Well,
known
you
now.
you can connect with Faces You Know through Faces You Know Band at gmail.com. That's my web address. You can also go to facesyouKnowBand.com to our website where you can also listen to all our music. You can download our music, purchase our music, see live videos, see live performances, buy shirts, paraphernalia. You can catch us at Faces You Know at, yeah, there you go, Faces You Know Band, and on Facebook and Instagram at Faces You Know, and at Twitter at Faces You Know. So it's Faces You Know everything, nothing crazy, but you'll find different things about us. And you also can find Halima Peru's solo projects and albums and songs on our website as well. So we kind of cover all the bases.
Okay. So the stuff that y'all released and all that can be found on your website as well. People can download and all that.
Yeah,
Get
you
out.
get all my everything we put out is on our website. It would be I'd be crazy if I didn't put it up there.
I know that, but you gotta let these folks know, man. You be quiet.
I'd be a fool. I'm like got music and I'm all got a website. I'm not selling my own stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah. So basically, in rapping, first of all, once again,
You
thank you
spelled
because
that wrong. It's FAYCEZ, man.
oh man, wait,
See,
let me.
you sending people to some zoo website.
No, you know what it is? I type faster than the mug. I'm gonna be honest. I type super duper fast. Here we go. All right.
This is
Hey,
band.com.
bang! Look, damn it. We're gonna get this. We're gonna start this thing off right. It's dark
Lord,
in the house tonight.
we had to do a one-on-one with you being interviewed.
Well, I
No.
already put out a book. You know.
Yeah, you did, and it was a good read. I tell people it was a good book, man.
That's right. I appreciate that. For
It
real.
was a
For
good
real.
book.
For
Appreciate
real.
it. It,
But
it, it opened me on a lot of things I didn't know either. You
huh?
know,
Say
I
it
said
again.
I heard a lot of things I didn't know. So
Yeah. Well, that's
what?
the whole point of all of this. The whole point. One thing about it, see, nothing. I try to do nothing for idle reasons. This thing, no matter how many views they have tonight or whatever, this thing will be archived. You
Right,
know,
right.
one thing that I say this to people a lot. One thing that Benny always talked about doing, little Benny, was he always talked about writing this book. But he never got. He was supposed to be planning it. At one time, him and T was sitting talking about it. But Benny was always busy or whatever. He never got a chance to write that book. It's important for this stuff to be archived. You
True.
know what I'm saying? And that's the whole point of it. So even with this interview here, that's why even the one we did. How long faces been together? 10 years? How long would you say?
12 now. 12.
12. All right, about 12 years ago that we did that interview. You can still pull that joint up.
Yeah.
It's not important that we do the interview. It's important that this stuff get archived so it can always be pulled up. Anything
Exactly.
that's ever been done on T-Mart going on 25 years old. Just about every little piece that's ever been done on T-Mart can be pulled up and found.
And that's what I always encourage the bands to do. And I say it ain't necessarily saying record just to put something on the radio. Build your library so in the future someone can go back and say, "Oh, look what existed. What
Yeah.
was once here." History is always going to be there. If you put it out there, it's always going to be there. Somebody's going to dig it up
Nobody can
300
rewrite.
years from now.
Nobody can try to rewrite history.
Nobody can rewrite it. They're going to dig it up 100 years in there and say, "Oh, look what we found."
Yep. And that's the whole.
So hey, put it out there. I don't care. Put it out there.
So we sat here and I appreciate it big time. We sat here and did 2 hours. I didn't expect it to be that long. We
Wow.
did. We done 2 hours, and I totally appreciate taking this time with me with all this. All this stuff, like I said, it's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's whatever. Some comments, I got to figure out this thing where some comments came through, some didn't. I didn't understand,
Right.
but we can go back and look at all of them.
It's all good. It's all good.
Um, with that being said, like I said, appreciate it. Oh, you always had mad respect for me, and you still got it. Just be, if not for nothing else, for always being creating your own path. You know what I'm saying? And appreciate that.
I got something new to send you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, yeah, send it. I still got the little, I don't do the whole radio shows and talk. With T My Radio, the band is the star. So,
I feel you. All right.
you ready, send that, Joe. Definitely.
Appreciate you, man. Always love, number love with you, bro.
Thanks a lot, man. And thank you, everybody, for joining in. Check out Faces. Did y'all do did y'all do a virtual, Joe?
Yeah, well, you'll see it Saturday. North Carolina AT&T, North Carolina A&T. It's coming up Saturday. The Aggies, no G-Ho, no greatest homecoming on earth this year. So they're doing a virtual show Saturday. I think it's from 2 to 6, 2 to 4. So you'll catch them on that.
Speaking of A&T, shout out going out there and Zenma out there. And,
yeah, that's my girl there. She the first one because she the first one that brought me to Greensboro.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. She did. Awesome. And I've been down there almost every year since. So
all right, man. Thanks. All right.
Peace.
Howdy. Peace, baby. Peace, baby. Peace, peace.